she could pursue all her interests. Once she landed the interview, knowing Marco worked there, it just seemed right, and definitely too good to pass up. So she'd thrown all her chips into Frederick, and now she really needed this job. And she intended to get it. The alternative was not an option. Finally, she found her phone and dialed. The manager's number rang once, twice, and she glanced into the lobby, right into an older man's face. She gasped and bobbled her phone, unable to catch it before it clattered to the pavement. The man fumbled with a keyring for a moment, then unlocked the door and pushed it open a few inches. "Can I help you, miss?" Taking a deep breath, she stooped to retrieve her cell. "Pull it together, Alyssa." "Oh, yes, I have an interview. My name is Alyssa." "Ah, yes. Come on in. It's already blazing out there." He pushed the door wider and waved her in. "I'm Pete Wilson, the manager of this joint." Alyssa stepped into the lobby, the air conditioning setting off tingles over her skin after those long minutes outside. "Alyssa Scott." She held out her hand, and he smiled as he shook it, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Well, Miss Scott, let's grab a seat so we can talk. How about it?" Alyssa followed Pete across the lobby and past the large, dim bar area where her brother had mentioned Marco worked. Her heart gave a weird little skip at the thought of him. "Is Marco Vieri here?" she asked. Pete slid his hands in the pockets of his slacks and turned to her. "Yes, ma'am. You know Marco?" "We grew up together. He's my brother's best friend." "Oh, is that right? Marco's a good kid." "Yeah, he's the best," Alyssa chuckled. Never once had she thought of Marco Vieri as a kid. Tall, dark, and nearly 5 years older than her, kid was the least likely description she'd ever use for him. He was the cutest, most loyal guy she'd ever known, and her chest ached with the desire to see him again. It had been so long, too long, but now that they'd both come home, her from college and him from the army, maybe she could finally have the chance with him she'd always wanted. They stepped into the venue's cavernous rectangular space. A row of lights illuminated the entryway and first group of tables. "Have a seat. I'll go grab my paperwork." As soon as Pete disappeared down a hallway off to the right, Alyssa sank into the worn wood chair, dropped her purse to the floor, and looked around. She'd never seen a show there, and in the darkness, she couldn't make out the far end of the space. The floor was tiered so the room was higher in the back, and tables formed a horseshoe around the stage. She imagined that created an exciting intimacy with the performers. "Here we are," Pete called. Alyssa forced herself to focus as he pushed the place setting out of her way. She handed him her resume and accepted the application he asked her to complete. She was so filled with nervous energy over the job and at the thought of seeing Marco, she couldn't keep her foot from shaking. Deep breath, Sally. She took her own advice twice and managed a bit more calm. At least the application was straightforward. As he reviewed her materials, he asked her to tell him more about her degree and internships. Landing this job would really help everything fall into place, so Alyssa shoved her nerves aside and detailed her coursework and experience for him, her confidence growing as she spoke. When she finished, Pete nodded. "This is an impressive resume, Miss Scott. You're obviously qualified. Maybe too qualified." He dropped her paperwork on the table. "This is a family-owned business, and the owners believe strongly in employees working their way up from the bottom." "I understand, Mr. Wilson. I'm willing to work hard and learn all parts of the business, and I've worked as a waitress for 4 years. She leaned forward. "I hope it's not too much to say, but I'm good at it. I'd be an asset to you." He stared at her for a long moment. "Pluck. I like it. Never be afraid to sell yourself, kid. No one else will do it. And call me Pete." He glanced down at her application, and a slow grin brightened his round, friendly face. "You'll work any shift? And you're available immediately?" Alyssa smiled at the...
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.